What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. Welcome to the first episode of the rebranded series of Making Cartoons, formerly known as Road to Meanie and Happyland. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the main character of my adult animated cartoon, Meanie and Happyland, big surprise there, about a mean fellow stuck in a happy land and forced to learn how to be, well, happy. For those of you who followed me up to this point, you pretty much know all this. But for you newcomers, that's pretty much the elevator pitch of the cartoon I want to make. The main character and the subject of today's speed paint is none other than the feared demigod warrior himself, Adon of Tomegaroth. Adon is a ferocious demigod warrior with edgy monikers such as Star Reaper and Adon the Conqueror, who goes on an intergalactic conquest of the horrid and nasty universe of Grimdark, but is ultimately vanquished and banished to the faraway, happy, and cuddly universe of Euphoria, where he's stripped of his phenomenal cosmic power and turned into a little piggy. The only way he can end this suffering is to befriend the local cute little critter denizens of Euphoria and learn how to be kind and caring and all that other schlock. Again, for those of you who follow me, this is old news, but for the newcomers, this is the TLDR to fill you in. Adon's story, as you may have surmised, is very much meant to be the fish out of water scenario. You know, all of his life, he's lived in a horrid dystopian murder nightmare that only knows war and death, and then all of a sudden, his decades of experience thriving in such an environment is just yeeted out the window as he is faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges involving learning to be calm and smiley and all that other horrid stuff. This struggle of his is made even more humiliating because not only has he been stripped of his power, he's been turned into one of the critters, hence the two forms that I am speed painting. Now, giving Adon two separate forms was a decision I made much later in the development of this idea. So much later, in fact, that I have made videos about introducing this into the canon. I've said it before, but turning Adon into this pig or boar, more accurately, involved a lot of rewrites and restructures of the pilot script that I'm writing, as well as the overall story. I ultimately wanted to do this, however, because I want to create not only a stark story contrast between the two universes, but also a stark visual contrast. And I want to manifest this juxtaposition in the main character in order to really just hit that nail on the head. Now, regarding the actual image here, in Adon's default demigod form here, you can see that I'm drawing him as this giant scowling brick of a man adorned in super edgy doom armor. That's because I'm trying to gun for a hardcore, hyper-violent art style that you'd expect from like a Frank Miller comic or something. Eventually, you're going to see me shade this particular picture using a lot of hard blacks. And again, this is to hearken to that, super grimdark art style. Finally, I'm actually making some changes to his old design that you can see in this picture, particularly in his hair. In the original picture, I gave these swept back dreadlocks look, mainly because I thought it looked cool at the time, and I just kind of ran with it as I was drawing it. I really wasn't thinking. In this new picture, I'm going to change his hair into something a bit more wild and flamboyant. Why is this? Well, actually, it's not because I think it looks cooler. Actually, quite the opposite. I'm doing it because it looks a bit more ridiculous. And this may sound counterintuitive, but here is my reasoning. I did it because I kind of want to make him look like a Fist of the North Star villain. It's that wacky, showy 80s hardcore anime look that I want to tack onto him to make the overall art style look more facetious. I also think the hair matches the ensemble of his overall costuming a bit better. He's wearing this sleek metal suit of armor adorned with spikes and like these stylized skulls on his knee pads and his belt. So I figure, why not just ride that crazy train all the way to the top and just, put the fabulous glam rock hair as the cherry on top. Plus, this whole stylized look is pretty par for the course for the characters who have, ultra over-the-top world-ending powers. Again, to kind of like reference anime, Adon's whole power set shtick, that is that as a demigod, he can do all this crazy crap that you see on like Dragon Ball Z and Fist of the North Star and like Naruto and Voltron and all those other animes where like they like blow up the world with their big showy lasers. If my main character can blow up galaxies with the glorious wave of his shining golden god hand, he better damn well look the part. I guess that's the logic here. Anyway, let's go ahead and segue into the little piggy. You'll notice as I draw this that I'm making design changes, some that are last minute even on this very speed paint. So first off, let's go ahead and talk the costuming. His piggy form, you see that he has the same ornate armor, but as kind of a joke that you can tell, again, that I did last minute here. As a joke, I changed the spikes on his shoulder pads and his knees and his boots and all that. I changed them to like these blunted nubs. And I changed the stylized skulls on his armor into frowny faces. The reasoning being that the same magic when he goes to Euphoria that turned him from his big deadly demigod form into a little piggy and took away all of his superpowers also made the armor more family friendly, so to speak, as to not scare the local denizens, because, you know, it's not safe to run around with sharp pointy objects and scary skull faces. Secondly, let's actually go ahead and talk color scheme. So you'll see as I color little piggy Adon here, I'm ditching the hard black shading and opting for more of a glossy pastel approach. I even changed the way I color his irises, you know, making them bigger and shinier and cuter, I guess, for lack of a better term. You could probably guess that I am doing this because I want to create the hard art style differentiation between Grimdark and Euphoria. So Piggy Adon and the other cute critters he's forced to hang around with all have this same pastel cutesy color scheme that honestly I'm kind of ripping off of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but the biggest challenge in creating Adon's boar pig form is that I want it to be cute and tough at the same time. Even in this reduced form, Adon still like towers head and shoulders above the rest of the cast. And I even made a point to turn him into a wild boar as opposed to like a domestic pig to insinuate that down in his heart he's still this unbridled fiery warrior, despite the fact that he's now, you know, thrown in a not so fiery and warrior-like situation. At the same time, however, he does need to look kind of cute in order for the new form to embarrass him, basically. And it's also for him to be more easily accepted among the cutesy townsfolk he's going to be, you know, living with. It's a hard line to walk, and I have no doubt that I'll have to make further tweaks to his pig design before I really nail it. Oh yeah, and before I forget, I do want to point out that you can see in his demigod form he has metallic arms. But in his pig form, he doesn't. And that's because those metallic arms aren't armor, they're actually his real arms. Part of the lore of this cartoon is that gods don't look like living organic flesh creatures because they're not made of flesh. They're made out to look like they're made of metal or crystal or stone or something. They're supposed to look like robots or living statues. Therefore, their children share some of these traits. So Adon, being half god, naturally has parts of his body made of metal. But when he's transformed and suppressed into his little piggy form, and he's stripped of his godly powers, he is therefore also stripped of his godly appearance. So his arms turn back to mortal meat, flesh, and bone. I just wanted to point that out just in case there was a weird confusion as to why I didn't add the shiny arms to little piggy Adon over here. So the plan here is that I plan to use this particular image in the pitch Bible for Meanie and Happyland. So I want to really make sure that Adon's two forms properly communicate everything about his character and the situation that he's trapped in. For his demigod form, I wanted to like scream loud and clear, you know, I'm a super edgy, cosmically powerful death machine, but my costuming and my hair is so crazy and flamboyant that you also don't take me too seriously. And then, of course, for his boar form, I want that to say loud and clear, I'm very displeased that I've been turned into a stupid, stubby swine, and am forced to dance and sing and be nice with a bunch of other cute critters, but deep down in my little heart, I'm still a fierce warrior. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. Does this imagery work? Did I sell my intent with these pictures? You know, let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to follow me elsewhere on my social media links in the description box down below. Oh, and of course, be sure to press the sacred YouTube buttons if you want to catch more of my work and appease the great and powerful God that is the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I hope you guys had fun, and until next time, deuces.